Don't say 2, 1. 5, 4, 3.
Hi guys, welcome back. SpeakuP Monday here at Tropical Nomad every Monday at 6:30 GMT +8. Today we have an amazing guest, my brother. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mikele, how do I pronounce your surname? Is it Kuhar?
It's Kuhar. Yeah.
Kuhar, I got it right. And Mikele, apart from being one of the YogiLab brothers and sisters, YogiLab brothers and sisters, which you would know, you've been on the show before, has an amazing history background and loves, or not loves, but is working with men to basically, you know what I would say? I think it's like you unlock men's potential, right? That they see in themselves or maybe don't see in themselves, and you give them, a way to unlock that, which I absolutely love. So look, just to get us rolling, so maybe we start off, because we had a few jokes before about Australia and the accents and all that stuff. So where are you from in Australia, and how did you find your way to be here in Bali? Let's start there.
Thank you. The unlocked potential, I'm going to take that. I like that. That's cool. For me, Adelaide, South Australia, wine country. I started there and fell into the complacency of just kind of following what everyone else around me at the time was doing. I had an early entrepreneurial streak. I was one of the first kids in school. I was in private school at the time. And we were the first ones to get broadband internet. Great. Fast internet. Cool. I utilized that by downloading what you would say illegal material, burning it onto CDs and selling it for my locker. Got my first warning for that, and then sold a bit of weed at school, if we're going to be completely honest. Never smoked it. Just saw the money side of things. Was asked to leave, which is the polite way of being expelled from a school.
So you never got high on your own supply?
No, I just inherently followed that rule. It was good. I wouldn't really say it was good. But yeah, went through that and then just kind of done the jobs that everyone else around me was doing, chasing the dollar all the time. I fell into being a tradesman, worked in the building construction game for 8 years because that's what my dad done, and was fucking sick of going to job sites and listening to older men want to work on Saturday and Sunday because they didn't want to spend time with their kids or wife. And that's one of the things for me that just never sat right. And one of the sayings I really love is people that I've heard, I can't remember where I've heard it, I might butcher this now. No, we got it. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Got it.
And when I heard that, I was just like, wow, the friends I was hanging with around at the time, no shade thrown at them, but they just weren't doing the shit that really lit me up inside. And there was a bit of incongruency within me. I feel like a lot of us have that feeling when you're hanging around with a group of people that you're not truly inspired and loved by what they're doing. So that set me on a path of trying eight different business models in 4 years, and I ended up selling all my shit and coming to Bali because it was a dream I had over beers for quite a while. Yeah.
Well, it's a great start. So one thing which I want to impress upon you, so every week, for those of you watching, right, these microphones, right, I think Itchy about here is a good distance, is that right? Yes. There you go. So I used to eat it, right? So, and each week it's like you hear this, and it's me, and you can hear me, it's like Darth Vader dreaming. So with this one here, you can hold it about there, and that's about good. Hello to the dog in here. Cool. So
are we good?
We're good.
We're good now?
The dog is good. So one thing which I can pick up already, right, is that the private school you went to, was it all boys?
No.
Mixed?
No, mixed, yeah.
Awesome. And then on the building site, you mentioned about the men, right, complaining and so on. So working with men and having those 8 different business models that we'll get into later on. So what is it, do you think, in your past that kind of brought that out and drew you to want to work with men?
I know exactly that. I had 2 or 3 really close friends for a big part of my life that I felt safe with, that I could fucking open up when I was going through something, and they could give me genuine, honest feedback, and they would call me forward when I wasn't showing up in certain aspects of my life. I had friendship groups where the banter's great, having a few beers, kept in check by your friends is good, but it was always surface level. And I felt like a lot of the friends I had didn't feel safe opening up to each other beers were needed, drugs were needed, and the next day there was always a bit of like shame and guilt around it. Me personally and other friends had opened up to each other after 6, 7, 8, 10 beers, and the next day we never spoke about it, and we never spoke about it again. And I was like, there's something off here. And just the narrative around being a man, especially in Australia, it's championed. Yeah. Like all the things that weren't sitting right with me were championed. Like no one's giving you high fives and be like, yo, you are crushing monogamy. 7 years in a relationship, awesome. That shit isn't encouraged. And yeah, there was a lot of self-inquiry over the years, and that's really led me to doing what I'm doing now.
Got it. So why is it, do you think, that men have such a tough time, right? Just opening up, being vulnerable, doing and being these people which, you know, for all intents and purposes, is like a vulnerable, powerful, open human being. Like, what stops us as men from being that?
I think a big part of it's just conditioning. Yeah. Like we were chatting earlier about like, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And it's become okay to suffer in silence. Yeah. Like it's for you, and men also don't have the tools when a friend does open up with them to handle that. Like a friend will come to me and say, I've really been struggling with my girlfriend or my job or whatever they're going through, and they don't have anyone else to turn to. That's why they lean on someone who is a coach or a mentor or whatever that is. I think they just don't have the tools, man.
And I mean, oftentimes, you know, we talk about men's health, right? So part of the reason why SpeakuP Monday came to being is because I lost 3 friends, hospitality industry in Sydney, looked good, smelled good, had the girlfriend, had the car, had the career, had the house, like had everything, right? But they all took their own lives over a 3-year period, and no one saw it coming. So they were dealing with things that they didn't feel maybe that anyone could help them with, right? So, you know, maybe it's a bit early for this, but like, are there any signs that as a mate, I could look at my friend and say, something isn't right here, something's not gelling, like is there a sign, is there anything that you found over your years of working with men?
I feel like the signs are very like subjective.
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell. And putting it on yourself to be the one that can see the signs is setting yourself up to blame yourself for not seeing it in the time. I don't think it's a matter of awareness of seeing the signs, it's a matter of awareness of the space you hold for someone to genuinely feel safe. Yeah.
Got it. So then what, if anything, would you prescribe or suggest, you know, to other men and women, by the way, watching this, to other men to start to feel into this, how you hold yourself and the container you hold for yourself and so on? How do you do it?
One thing that my girlfriend's taught me a lot is to have a lot more compassion for myself. We're so hard on ourselves and we beat ourselves up when we're not doing things because society has expectations of us to keep hustling, keep grinding, achieve. The big thing is just having compassion and being able to use a sentence with a friend like, hey, like, can you spare some time right now? There's something I feel vulnerable right now and I want to share this with you. Like, you need to be able to not expect someone to come and ask the question for you. You need to be able to step forward because there's a lot of courage in that vulnerability.
Courage. So for you, where does courage come from?
Where does courage come from? Courage comes from... It comes from knowing there's something bigger for you or the situation and like stepping into that. Being able to push past fear and lean into it more. Yeah.
And then by lean into it, what comes up for you when I say I want to lean into that courage?
Vulnerability and self-acceptance. Yeah. To take a risk in a conversation or start up a business or anything like that, there's a lot of vulnerability within that. And there's a lot of detachment from ego. Like knowing you're gonna fuck up. When you do something new for the first time, having that conversation, starting that business, speaking to that girl, you're gonna fuck up and you're gonna get shit wrong at first.
Got it. So for you, like, what would be one of the most powerful, insightful conversations that you had with somebody else around this, and what did it open up for you?
I had had a, it comes to me straight away. I stepped into working with a coach 5-6 years ago, and it was really funny because one day he just stopped me halfway through a conversation and he was just like, I'm proud of you. And that shit just like, I broke down in tears. I had really always pushed for approval, appreciation, validation from a lot of people around me and never got it. And the day I did, that really landed for me. Yeah.
So much of this stuff appears to come from, when we're younger, these formative years, right, that we have, this 0 to 8 time. So for many people here, there may be, like we spoke before, for those of you who are just tuning in, so this is SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia, and SpeakuP Monday is a deep dive Q&A, which is really about unlocking wisdom in our guests, because we all have this wisdom within us, but quite often it's hidden from our view or we don't believe it. So for example, I speak about the clock that, 1 to 2 or 12 to 1, sorry, is like, this is what I know that I know, right? I know my name, I know where I'm from, I know where I live, I know how to get home after having a few beers, right? I know the stuff. And then 1 to 2 is like, this is the stuff that I know I'm not good at. I know that I'm not good at algebra, maths, talking to people, talking to girls, whatever it might be. And then what we have is the 2 or the 3 all the way to 12. And this is the stuff that I don't know that I don't know. This is unconscious, like, understanding that there's stuff that I just don't even know, but I don't even understand that I don't even know it. And in these spaces is often where there's some great secrets and wisdom that we can pull out and share with others, right? So, give me a little bit of a break. So, if I ask you now, right, so 0 to 8, was there an experience for you that was like what you look back upon as being super insightful? And if so, what did you learn from it?
Yeah. Being part of a startup, YogiLab, where we've got a mission to share meditation around the world for free for 80 million people. And we've all sat Vipassanas together. I didn't even know what a Vipassana was until I got on board with them, and that I'd done 4 in 2 years. But before that, before the 10-day sits and everything, and some crazy shit went down in them, for me, one thing I never shared with anyone, I was scared of the dark until the age of like 23. Like, 23, that's fucking old. I couldn't watch scary movies, I'd get hot, flustered, it'd be too much for me. And I started a meditation practice. I started listening to a lot of podcasts. I actually had my own podcast, like he shared before, and just started grabbing nuggets from everyone else and come across meditation. I was like, I'm gonna give this stuff a shot. I was sitting for 20 minutes a night, 2-3 weeks in a row. And I'm sitting there on my bed one night, and I can barely cross my legs. Like, I'm so tight. Like, I got like pillows, I'm stacked up, I'm as comfortable as I can be. And I'm not too good at it yet, so I'm listening to like white noise to really drown out my voice. And I'm sitting there, and I'm about 15-20 minutes in, and I feel really hot. And I'm getting hotter and hotter, and I'm starting to sweat, and I'm like, well, I'm not really sure what's going on. And then you've seen Harry Potter. You've seen the Dementors.
Oh, yes.
I'm sitting there in this bed, and this was a really big room I was in at the time. And this thing came under the door, and it comes up, 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 and over me. And the higher it gets, the smaller I get. It's almost like I'm 12-year-old, I'm 10 years old, I'm 8 years old. And I get goosebumps telling it now. And I'm sitting there, and there's a voice in my head that's like, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes, fucking now. Open your fucking eyes right now. You need to open your eyes. And there's another voice in me that's like, stay closed. It's calm, it's soothing, it's comfortable there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit through this. And it's going up and up, and my heart's going like this. And then all of a sudden, the whole room clears. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what just happened. I'm going to sit here for a bit more. I'm not ready to come out. And then I came out of it, and I was like very confused. Went to sleep, kind of thought nothing of it, thought about it a bit, realized I was never scared of the dark from that day. And what I've come to realize is through Dave and all the guys at YogiLab and sitting Vipassanas and like diving in on myself for hundreds of hours of meditation, that it was a complex stored within me. We store complexes within us in physical, energetical structures. And it was a dissolving of that complex. That was, I don't even remember what your question was, but I think that answered it.
Yeah, the interesting part, thank you for that, is that even though it's a Q&A, it's not even about the answer to the question, it's about what it triggers for you, because that's what's supposed to come up. And what you just said is really interesting to me, right? Because, for many years, I was like, some of you know this already, if you do, just bear with me. So I grew up 18 years in a children's home in London, and I was the only black kid at school for like the first 13, 14 years, and the children's home was pejoratively black, but all my friends were white. So I took upon this very Caucasian view of what life is, how I should look, how I should act, how I should speak. And I did it really, really well. Like, people would speak to me on the phone which hadn't met me, and then when they'd meet me, they'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, what? I didn't know you were black. Like, it's like, what? Of course I'm black. But I didn't know. So I remember sitting down, spending time in the children's home between the ages of around 8, 9, 10, those years, deeply ashamed of how I looked, that I didn't look white, and I had a mirror up to my face. I'd be pulling apart, saying my nose is too wide, my lips are too big, head too pointed, everything. And I would just spiral down, spiral down, spiral down, spiral down. And I did contemplate suicide and all those things. Would I have done it? I don't know. But I definitely thought about it and contemplated it. But it's interesting because the voices in my head, and this is what you triggered, the voices in my head, I often got those voices trying to pull me down even further, right? Saying, yeah, you're not this enough, you're not that enough, you're not enough, period. And these voices I got used to and just thought that was how things were. But I remember I was sitting there one day, and it's like this voice, for like the first time I heard it, was this supportive, warm voice. First time I'd heard it. And that voice said something to me that I'll never forget, right? And it cracks me up talking about it now. So that voice said to me, Rob, just look after your skin. Just look after your skin. Like, what the fuck, So, but because I was so shy as a kid, all my best friends were girls as well. And so I was like, look after your skin. That's an easy one. I was already cleansing and exfoliating and washing anyway. I was like, no problem. Wasn't wearing makeup. But the thing was, though, that's the first time I heard that voice from who knows where. Looking back, I feel that it was the voice of my soul talking to me. That's what I felt. And I followed that voice to this very day. Sometimes I don't, and I get into a bit of bother. Sometimes, but it's there, right? So hearing what you just said, and I've asked people this question quite a few times. There's no right or wrong answer with this, but where do you think that voice in you came from? What was it? And the people that you sat around with, have they ever described this voice to you as well?
No. I'm to be honest, I'm 100% not sure. Yeah. I really like how you've described it, though. I think I'm just going to take it and run with that one, man.
It's so interesting because I get so many different answers to that question. Yeah. And I kind of love it, right? Because in the end of it, we're kind of meaning-making machines, right? So maybe the meaning that I'm making of it is completely not true, but it worked for me, right? And that story that we tell ourselves about ourselves is the predominant story that then shapes our life, that self-talk. So for you then, moving left a little bit, so with the self-talk, so how important is that within what you do and in your own life personally?
I think it's not only just for me, like for everyone, self-talk's everything. Like, I've caught myself at, like, I labeled myself having a victim mindset for quite a long time. Like, some of the things I've shared with some close friends that, like, I've wished things upon people that are really close to me because I wanted people to look at me and see me and care for me. I would never voice those things. And I feel like a lot of us have that. And there's a lot of shame around that. So, like, self-talk being, like, okay, everyone says, like, you need to have awareness around it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now what? Like, where does the awareness take me from that? And being able to navigate and, like, get a better understanding from yourself through those points, you're able to change the narrative and the story you're telling in your head. And it's not easy. and you can't do it straight away a lot of the time, and you will forever do it, but if you can create the tools and like reframe the questions in your mind, it gives you a chance to get out of that a lot quicker.
So what I would love you to go through now is not necessarily a 3-step process, but something that maybe people here are looking, right, are watching, going, you know what, I have this self-talk, and it's not always great. Sometimes it's lifting me up, sometimes pushing me down. So then what would you do, maybe how you work with people, how do you get to reframe that? How do you get to turn that around? Give us an example.
The first thing is always starting with the question. So it's like asking a better question. And when you can take 100% responsibility for where you're at and what you're doing, you take back control, you take back power. You're not externalizing any of your thoughts and what's going on. It comes back to you. And when you can really own that and understand that, and not just like, I know it's a cliche sentence, but like when you can truly embody and understand that, and that takes time. To really accept like what's everything, the good, the bad, the indifferent in your life is 100% on you.
You know, like, so I get what you're saying, but maybe some people watching here now don't, right? When they say, you know, take 100% responsibility, for them it might be just words, right? So in the best way that you can, right, go a bit deeper. Right, and maybe bring up what happened to you and like how you dealt with it, what it is that came up for you, and how you reframed it. The question you asked yourself: how many times do you have to repeat it? Was it always? Is it constant? Was it before you went to bed at night? Was it when you woke up in the morning? Like, because I get what you're saying is juicy, right? And I really want people to get something that they can use themselves right now. Right, that they can take with them and use it right now, right? Because I know we're talking, and I get what you're saying, but it's a little bit too philosophical for me, right? And I think for these guys as well. So if you can do your best with that, Mikele, it'd be most appreciated.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me was when I took responsibility for how I was showing up in a relationship. I'd had the same feedback a few times in a row, and
you're not going to ask.
I know, but my girlfriend's here, and now it's getting weird, and like I don't want to stand in front of her.
Who thinks that he should just give it? Say I. I can't hear. Say I. I say I. You guys are so scared. He's sitting here. He can't take on all of you. So the consensus, including your girlfriend, is say I. So my man, you got permission.
Yeah. Being selfish in a lot of different areas of my life, and getting feedback like that, and thinking that I'm always living under the false narrative that I'm always putting someone else first, and getting direct feedback from that person that I'm not. That shit, like, really, like, my ego was like tried to justify it in every single way.
How? What was your ego saying?
Oh, it's not me, it's you. You're seeing it wrong. It's your state. Like, what? You name it, and it brought it up. And being able to let that land and really start to like see it objectively.
So by letting it land, what do you mean?
Instead of knowing it, understanding it. Like shit. Like, when I actually look at something objectively and not just through my lens on how I saw that situation and stood on the other side of the fence, I could see where I was wrong and where I was showing up indifferent.
Cool. So then by letting it land, like what you're saying is not fighting it or trying to solve it or say you're bad and wrong, that's not right, I'm like this, but just sitting there with it and saying, well, trying it on like a t-shirt that maybe doesn't fit. Putting a t-shirt on saying this is a bit uncomfortable, you know, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. Is that what you mean by letting it land?
Yeah, 100%. I think as men, we're always trying to solve a problem. And sometimes the problem's not even there.
Yeah. Cool. So then after letting it land and then having this conversation with yourself, you know, just about, is this true for me? The questions you're asking maybe, you know, is this true for me? You know, like, how does it feel? Does it feel uncomfortable? Yes. Does it feel like I'm right? Yes. But do I know I'm right? No. You know, like, is there something here for me to learn? Maybe. You know, am I right all the time? Well, maybe not. Right? So this is maybe the sort of fight that you're having with yourself internally, because I just want people to really get this, because like that internal fight that we all have that maybe don't talk about is so important, because you know, when people look at you and look and say there's a handsome guy there, looks like he's got his shit together and it's cool, but when you share as you do, you know, from the heart and say, well, actually no, I haven't got it all together, actually I was fighting with myself and I was going, but then through that tussle, through that struggle, eventually I was able to let it go and actually listen to what my girlfriend, who loves me dearly, was saying, and then able to say, you know what, there's something in there for me, and I think I just need to let this one sit for a little bit and see what's on the other side, right? Is that the sort of thing that you felt?
Yeah. When I really break down a situation like that, I've been getting the same feedback from my parents for a while, but no one wants to listen to their parents. I'll fight that one to the end. I'm sorry if you're watching this right now, Mum. But when someone who genuinely fucking cares for you, they're going to call you forward in situations like that. And I'd been in past relationships where I was called in that, and we ended it. I was scared that they could now see parts of me that I internally knew were there, but didn't want to shine light on. Yeah. And I just wasn't ready for that.
Man, you and me are vibing, brother, because I had the same thing. I had the same. So for me, what I learned in relationship, by the way, I've got a relationship, little plug, I've got a relationship course tomorrow. It's free. Tune in, 5:30. Just check the details. It's really good. So what I learned with relationships, right, was that, you know, I thought that I was born alone. I thought that I'll be in the world alone, and I thought that I would die alone. So I had this one mind, which worked growing up in a children's home, because then I felt that I was hypersensitive to other people, whether they want to throw me a beating, right? Whether they want to talk to me in a harsh way, whether they want to inflict some sort of non-verbal physical harm, whatever it would be. So I'll be like, in a way, I'll be looking after myself through this field of being a victim. Quite interesting. But then what I realized was, in relationship, that didn't really help, because in the moments where I needed to be open and vulnerable with my partner, I wasn't able to do it. And what it was is a thing called attachment disorder. And I'd find a lot of guys who deal with the same thing, and girls, but a lot of guys. And what fear of being abandoned, right? So what you do, instead of being abandoned or waiting for the abandonment to happen, you abandon them first. Or you I was a coward, so I would set up the situation in which my partner would think, are we okay? Yesterday we were getting on like a house on fire, so go deep quickly, connect quickly, best conversation, best sex, and all of that, fellas, right? But when I would feel vulnerable, and that vulnerability coming up, I would just get scared and think, oh shit, I think I might love this girl. What if she? I'm going to do everything I can to push her away. And I found it was a repeating pattern, you know. And it sounds like, just listening to your story, brother, that maybe there's some things that are being mirrored between us. But now, like, you know, when you look at your life, and you brought it up earlier on about being proud of yourself, right? So if I ask you, you know, are you proud of yourself? And I'll go a step further. If it's a yes, what are you proud of yourself for?
Yeah, it's a yes. I'm proud of myself that I've tried on many different shoes, many different masks, and it's taken me quite a while to pull a bunch of them off. I used to judge myself for that. Yeah. You know, here, I feel like there's very much in Bali like a spiritual hierarchy of, oh, you're not vegan? Oh, you don't do yoga? And I was all of those things. And then I'd kind of dim my light so people didn't pick up on that. So for me, I'm just so proud I can authentically be me, because I see guys that age and older than me and younger than me who aren't, and this is cliche again, but aren't being who they truly are. Yeah. Again, it comes back to that safety and that permission of people around them. They think they need to be a certain way to achieve a certain thing. And the thought of, so I mentioned before I tried a bunch of different business models. Yes. And the thought of something different until you actually have it. And for me, that ran a big part of my life. I was chasing money all the time. Everything I'd done was crypto, it was network marketing, it was email marketing. When I got a bit more heart-centered, I spoke at schools. I had imported and designed tiling tools, my tiling business. I ran a bathroom renovation company. Like, I kept my full-time job the whole time thinking I'd done all this because I was trying to make more money, work. And then a friend asked me one day a couple of questions which led to, like, what do you want to do every single day, whether you're paid for it or not? And I had a money answer first. And then she was like, no, fuck that. Like, what do you really want? I was like, I want to create. I want to shoot video and photo. And that's what I do. And within 3 months of me following that, I'd doubled, sometimes tripled my income in weeks from my renovation business. And myself 6 months later on a plane, come over here and doing that full time. Doors open. I got offered 2 creative director jobs and I'd hold a camera for 6 months before I even came over here. And I didn't realize until now, like, oh, maybe there's something to this.
Got it. So thank you, my brother, and we'll get to that. The thing which I love you to share, because this thing about masks is powerful, man. We all have them, and I think it's really cool if we're able to let people know what maybe one of our masks was, because there's someone here who maybe has the same mask and says, oh, that's me, and maybe for what you're saying, they have the opportunity to decide if they want to keep it or not. Yeah. So whatever comes up for you, brother. So would you like to tell us about how did it come up? How did you know it was being present? What did you do to discover it, and how did you let it go? So what mask? What did you do to discover it, and how did you let it go?
Yeah. Growing up all through school, I was a bully, and I was also bullied. And that was a mask. I was a skinny kid. I was the smallest kid in most of my classes. I was the skinniest kid in most of my classes. And from out of that, I would act from a place of just being fucking scared and trying to protect myself before anything even happened to me. And I'd done that for years. And then that was the mask. You're going to have to give me a question again. I've forgotten it.
That's all good, yeah. So what was the mask which you've identified? How did you discover it? And then how did you let it go?
Yeah. As a 12-year-old kid, I didn't really know, to be honest. I was just going about doing it. And then I remember a friend of mine went to another school, and another kid in their school took their life because he was gay. And my friends given him shit for it for a long time, and that was like my wake-up call. I was like, oh, this shit actually happens. Like, you can dictate how you can affect someone else's life for good and bad. The way I let it go was just like I still look at it now. I was a scared kid, and understanding that I didn't know what I did at the time, and there's only so long I can carry that shame and guilt with me for kids I did at school. A lot of people in their life that do bully in another area of their life are bullied, and mine wasn't external, mine was internal. And I've done a lot of work over the years to move away from that. Yeah.
Got it. And the final thing, and then we move on. So when you said you did a lot of work to let it go, so maybe one thing, right, that comes up that maybe people here can try themselves.
Yeah. Jumped up and down in personal development events. I chanted with people. I went to business sits, all of that. And the thing that's really been like the silver bullet in a lot of the 10-day Vipassana sit. Yeah. Like, I feel some people have met people that and they talk about them like so grandly and highly, and they won't shut up about them when they come back. And until you really go to one and really surrender and sit in that, it's amazing the things that can come up for that. 10-day sit, man.
Yeah. And you know that word surrender keeps coming up, and so like, yeah, got it. So the surrender piece for you, like, what would surrender have meant to you when you were a kid, and what does surrender mean to you now? So as you were a kid, if I would have said surrender, what did it mean to you?
Yeah.
And if any story comes up, share it. And what to you now? Yeah.
Surrender for me as a kid, like watching cartoons and everything else, I saw that as like defeat. Yeah. Surrender's a bad thing. Don't surrender. Like always fight. And back to another Vipassana set. The first one I went on with the guys was a 10-day one in Malaysia. And day 4 was always the hardest for me. Because you're sitting there for 100 hours in 10 days, sitting there. I sit for 20 minutes. And like my knees are sore, my back's sore. I'm like, what the fuck? I just said yes, and then I got there. I had pills side and side. Day 4 is hard because you're doing the maths in your head. You're on day 4. You got 4 more days and 2 more. I'm not gonna go through all this again, plus like 50% more, and I'm just. And the surrender piece came in on day 4 for me. I was in a sit, and it was just like flash. I saw my dad die in 4 or 5 different ways. Mind you, me and my dad are boys. We worked together on job sites for 8 years. We're Italian father and son. We never argued once. That's like, that in itself is just a miracle. And I envisioned him dying all these different ways. And I came out of that and I was like, I'm leaving. I got to call home. Like maybe they'll let me email him. Like surely just one message. I just want to know they're okay. And I sat with this for 2 days. And then I think like a day and a half later, 2 days later, where I just come to the real fuck. Like we'd had a great life together. Like I fucking love him and we spent so much time together and I'm just so thankful for having someone like that in my life. And whether he's gone or not, that's okay. And that for me was a big surrender in that. Yeah.
Man, brother, man. What a way you've come, man, and it's really cool because you know all of the things that you've been through, right? And we won't go into the 8 different ones, but we get a sense of what they are. Obviously, the Vipassana plays a massive role in just that way to uncover and unlock the wisdom within you and let some things go. You know, so, and for those of you watching here, you know, like if you ever get to a seminar or anything like that, so what you're saying as well is volunteer, right? You can go to a seminar. Like I went to a breathwork camp with one of this man's brothers, our brother Brian. What a breathwork camp it was! Mama Tamba, for those of you watching know what that is.
No one here has any idea what that is, but yeah, great. Cool.
I know, but that's something else. But here's the thing, you know, like, breathwork is such an amazing way to let things go, but like anything else, it's not about the breathwork, it's what you bring to it. So you can be a passenger in life, in breathwork, in seminars, putting your hands up or putting your hand down, staying in the background and just kind of closing your eyes and just being a fly on the wall, or you can be like not a passenger but be the driver, right? And step forward and really give yourself to it. And it's amazing then what actually happens to you. You get, the more you give, the more you get. You know, and what I hear from your life is that in one way or another, this is what you've done, and then you're using this, you know, in one of your incarnations as working with men. And by the way, if men want to work with you now, is this work that you still do? And if so, how can they reach out to you?
Instagram, easy, at Mikele.k.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any formal thing that you do, or is it one-on-one coaching? Is it group coaching? Is there a group that meets up? How does it work?
Right now it's online one-on-one coaching or in person. And then what we're launching soon is a group membership program with YogiLab.
Beautiful. Yeah. And then, so if maybe one of the guys is watching now and says, okay, sounds like a cool guy. I love the fact that he's been through stuff and come out the other end. He hasn't just had a clean, clear, easy ride. This guy's been through some stuff, right? So, and I believe that maybe some of the things which I'm feeling, he's been through and come out the other side, right? So what is it that you offer, right, to other men? If they asked you, okay, Mikey, I want to get with you, brother. What is it that you offer to them?
Yeah. So what I offer is a 12-week structured program that a lot of time and money has gone into and been developed and like passed down and taught to me as well. What I offer is some fucking real authentic conversation and someone to hold, like a lot of people need someone to hold them accountable, not hold their hand, but hold them accountable. And in boxing, you know, you've got your ring man I can't get in the fucking ring with you, but I can be from the side showing you where to go. And actually what you said before, like I'd been through a lot of shit. To be honest, I haven't been through a lot of shit in my life when we like really break it down to what people have been through. And I feel like that's been one of my strengths. Like I got stuck into a trap of complacency for quite a while and was uncomfortable in the comfortable and made a decision, and everything I've learned along the way has been able to leverage me jobs, money, partnerships in businesses, and coming over here. So yeah, it's one thing I can always promise, that I'm not everyone's coach, 100%. There's some people out there that are just for me, but I will never teach on anything I don't truly embody myself. And I'm quite happy to say I don't know at the time.
Love it. And let's go back to that, right? So, and then we'll move on. So one of the things, so when I say to you that you've been through some stuff, it's interesting because, you know, like a lot of people downplay or don't believe they have compared to somebody else, right? Oh, well, compared to that guy, I had it easy.
Comparing was a good hobby of mine for quite a long time. It still is.
There it is. You see, because like anyone who's done, how many Vipassans have you done?
4.
How many hours is that sitting down?
That's 400.
400 hours facing who?
Me, myself, and I.
Which is one of the hardest journeys we can all face. So again, it's perspective, you know, and sometimes we don't necessarily honor, I'm not saying you're doing this, but we don't necessarily honor, you know, like what we've been through and the wisdom to come from it. So this unlocking wisdom, you know, so I find you to be an incredibly wise person. And, you know, I believe that other people see that too, right, which is great. But what came in was this video, right? This, you as a videographer, right? And sharing, because to me, what I've realized through doing this, so we started off SpeakuP Monday, how long ago? By the way, guys, if you've got any questions, we're going to have some questions, so the mic will come to you in about a minute's time. So if you think of any questions, put it up, ask away, right? No questions too silly, by the way. And you can come in, my brother. So video, so what I've realized, so SpeakuP Monday, we started off 2.5 years ago, something like that, in life in Bali, right? No video really, we took occasional video, and it was for people who were there. We had up to 100 at one point, which was great, in one space. But what I've realized is that over the years, one of the most powerful things you can do is doing what we're doing now with Itchy, the Tropical Nomad guys. Now we have amazing voice quality, we have amazing visual quality, and by doing that, we're able to amplify the amount of people that we can touch, the amount of people that we can reach, right? So now what I realize is that video and sound is one of the most important elements to have in anything you're doing to get that amplification, right? So you said earlier on about that girlfriend of yours asking you, like, what is it that you would do, right? Take away the money. What is it that you love to do that you can do every day, no matter what it is? And you said, so now my question to you is that, so what brought you to that? Why is it that you love it so much?
Man, there's so much to video that, like, photo's great and be able to capture a moment like that, but to be able to give someone a voice and a platform to share their story, and the emotion videos have evoked in me over the years, I wanted to be able to do that for other people. I wanted someone to be able to sitting on their couch watching an iPhone video about whatever the fuck it is, to be inspired to go make a change. Like, so much of my inspiration and motivation has come through just even a 30-second clip or an amazing B-roll clip of a country or something like that, and someone genuinely sharing what they're up to. It's like the emotions that songs evoke in us, man. Evoke in us. Like, it can change your emotional state in a moment, and I wanted to do that. I'm not sure if that came from a place of ego or serving or whatever it was, but I wanted to be able to give someone what that gave me as well.
Love it, man. No, man, it's definitely a gift. So, brothers and sisters, we have question time. So, Itchy and Bella, do we have a microphone? We say aye. So, guys, any of you, don't let me point you out. Put your hand up, right? and ask your question. No question is too small. Mason at the back. All right, remember, if you're thinking about the question, somebody else is also thinking about it as well, but maybe hasn't got the courage to ask it. So do us a great service and ask your question. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, by the way. That was good. That's powerful. So what do you think that the guys in here can do and the guys watching can do to help break down that stigma of what it means to be a real man, kind of without preaching as well to your pals?
Yeah. I think the first thing starts off with, like, I'm looking through the ring light here, I can't see you. Let's pick a side.
Boxing. But don't step out of the shop, brother. Otherwise,
oh, here we go, hold on. Okay, we're here, we're good.
Mason, move, man. You're good.
It's checking in with yourself and taking inventory of how you're showing up. Like I said before, like, a lot of men don't feel safe until they're given permission to show up differently. Every single guy is waiting for someone else to ask them the question. So being able to go first and ask that question creates that. And people might not open up on the first, second, third, fourth time, but they want a conversation. They want someone to open up to. They just don't feel like they have that space yet. Yeah.
Any other questions? Girls in the room. I can feel there's a question there. One of you, maybe Selena, just hanging out. Selena, come on, now's your time to ask him that question. You know which question. So, has everyone got a microphone? Selena? Let's put her on the spot because she can handle it. Love it. So now Selena is this beautiful girl, and she's great energy. Just met her today, and Selena, you have the best energy, girl, and I love the fact, just, you know, that from a journalist, as you mentioned, you have a very acute mind, and that's the reason why I've given it to you.
Hati.
Hi, first of all, am I on? I'm not on.
Yeah, you're on.
I'm on?
Yeah,
wow.
you're on.
Hi. First of all, thanks for sharing. I think what is like coming up for me is, why do you think you can be so valuable to another guy? Like, maybe share. You've been sharing what you've been through. You've been sharing all your story and what you can bring to someone, the tools that you share with them as well. But like, maybe people, because I know you, maybe you can share a bit more like where that comes from, what it means to you, the value that can bring to someone. Because I know how loving you are. I know how much you can hold space. But I think these guys should know as well.
It's time on the clock, and a lot of time I've spent with friends being in that position. From, you know, like, I've helped mum work through some stuff. I've helped my best friends work through some stuff. I've helped business partners work through stuff. It's been able to have an understanding of where someone's coming from and really like dig beneath the layers of that. For me, it's the compassion and understanding is one thing, but beyond that, it's being able to genuinely put time aside to see how someone really is and not just take the surface level answer. And we all just want to be seen and heard, and being able to see someone for who they truly are without all the bullshit and the common surface level answers we throw out there. That's really what it is for me. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering that's right. I was just wondering, in your coaching program that you offer, what's your benchmarks for success, and how do you measure that with your clients?
Benchmark for success is always subjective to who the person is and what the goal is at the end of it. I can't really give like a one common answer for all of it, but the main thing is at the end of that 12 weeks that you have genuine tools and not just concepts and opinions, but tangible things that you can apply in your life, that you don't need a coach after that. You've got tools and resources you can lean on to implement in your life to go where you really want to go. Yeah.
And if you could add on to that, what's your own personal benchmarks of success that you know that you're serving the clients or your clients, and you know that you're developing further in growing as a coach as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, it's feedback. It's getting feedback from people and seeing where I can improve and where I can level up. The main thing for me is knowing when I work with someone that they can genuinely sit there and tell me that I've made a fucking difference for them and they've been able to move forward and got clarity around where they want to go. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Any more questions, guys? Yeah, Anatoly?
Yeah, thank you for the story. It was amazing, very vulnerable. I really loved it. So the question I have is, what were some of the beliefs you held before that you don't hold anymore?
I truly believe a lot of the times the beliefs we have, I wouldn't sit here and say I don't hold them anymore. I would say I'm just living on the other side of them. Like being that I don't have enough money, I'm not tall enough, I'm not strong enough, I don't know enough things, I'm not smart enough, all of that. The comparison, all of it. It still lives there. It's just living on the other side of it. So I'd say a lot of that is still living within me, but it's choosing a different conversation around that when that stuff comes up. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm loving this understanding that you have a choice, right? So a lot of the guys out there that I know, not a lot, but some of the guys that I know, we almost feel, and girls, by the way, don't mean to alienate the girls, by the way, excuse me, if any women are watching, I don't mean to alienate you. A lot of people that I see, really fall victim to the journey of the mind. You're Vipassana, you must have become intimately aware of what's going on in your mind, right? So perhaps to those people who have been lost in their mind and where it takes them, is there anything else that they can do? Because so far what we said is that it's about asking yourself a better question. But is there anything else that they could do to regain some level of mastery?
I'm a big believer in taking action is the quickest way to really understand anything. And getting mastery of themselves, trying new things. Like I've started to do a lot of things before I ever knew what it is. And if you really want to get mastery, you need to put the shoe on, because you don't really know if it's going to fit or not. Like go out there and just start doing, because I don't care how many books you read, you're not going to be able to figure out how to drive a car unless you get in there and start driving. So it's taking action. All the shit you thought you wanted to do in life, and one day you'll do, go do it. You'll learn a lot about yourself being bad at something.
Got it. And coming to the last questions, apparently. So men and women, this concept of love, right? So you mentioned it earlier on. So personally, I believe that one of the biggest things for all sexes and races is this self-love. Right, this ability, and I don't want to lead you too much with this question, but this ability to love ourselves. And to the extent that we can love ourselves determines what happens in our lives and the surroundings around us, and which includes people. So if that is the case, how do we nurture self-love? Or how do you, let's do it this way, how do you nurture self-love? What steps did you take, and perhaps people can follow to nurture that self-love within them?
For a long time, I ignored that, and I just went about everything I'd done and never really slowed down and had compassion for myself. So it's something I'm still learning to do. I'm busy all the time, and to slow down and nurture myself is one of the biggest lessons I actually personally need to learn. Self-love is by the physical actions I take, the time I spend in the gym, the food I put in my body, the biohacking, all the things I do. It's those things. The thing, to be honest, I'm still working on right now is like that self-love and that internal conversation. For people to work on self-love themselves, the biggest piece of advice I would give is doing what I'm doing. is going out there and physically taking the actions to give that to yourself. Taking care of yourself. Getting enough sleep. It sounds like super basic and low level, but the amount of people that aren't sleeping, aren't getting enough water, aren't exercising, aren't moving, I think like 60% of the population back at home in Australia are obese. Like, that's not self-love. Like, spend time doing that. And then also look at like the things we don't pay attention to, we don't normally take care of. It's like figuring out what they are and spending more time on them. Because a lot of times in those areas, I don't care about it. Well, you probably don't take care of it either. Spending time on those areas, there's a lot more self-love to have in there.
And penultimate question. So here we have a conversation around men. We have some beautiful women here as well, which is awesome. So the question is then, awesome like that, just came from awesome. So the question is, like, how can women support men, and how can men support their women?
She's like, yeah, you better answer this.
By the way, as mentioned, his beautiful girl is here, so he is on the spot. He is on the spot, and everyone in the relationship, I'm giving you more time to think, everyone in the relationship knows what it's like to be on the spot when the girl's there, the beads of sweat coming down, pouring down the face, the conversation that you know you're going to have later. But, mate, you've got this, my brother.
Yeah.
You've got this.
Straight up, do what we're doing right now. Read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. That will help you conceptualize everything you don't understand about the opposite sex. For women, letting men know that they're not being attacked when they're being called out. Because our ego gets like, we just want to be there right now. No, that's not true. That's not true about us. Like, I'm not attacking you right now, but I want to give you some feedback. Language around that. For men, for women, shit. Yes. We're always trying to fix everything. Where as soon as there's a problem, I'm in solution mode. And I'm trying to find the reason and the justification, but at 11 o'clock on Thursday, that's not what I done. Like, no, I done this. I'm not talking about Thursday, I'm talking about this. But, okay, no, I wasn't there. See, I wasn't there. It wasn't actually me. It was a friend who left that thing there. Stop trying to fix problems and just listen more.
You know, like, it seems that, you know, a bit of a plug. Why not? Let's just plug away. So tomorrow, 5:30 GMT plus 8, which is Bali time. So I'm running a free interactive session, right? And it's called the Relationship Miracle, right? It's actually called a Relationship Summary, Blueprint, that's what it is. So I learned some incredible gifts like the ones that you just shared from some of the most successful relationship coaches on the planet, right? Because I went through some deep stuff. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of this stuff tomorrow because I think it's so important. Because, you know, men and women, we can only go so far by ourselves. But if we're able to create a container in which we're both present, then what we can create is far greater than the sum of its parts. In other words, we need each other, is the way I see it. And I'm not saying if you're single you're bad and wrong, not saying that at all, right? But what I'm saying is that what I've noticed over the years, that if you can create and nurture a relationship where two people, there's 3 stages of relationship, intimate relationship that you will go through. Sorry, you can't escape. The first one is called Honeymoon Period. So Honeymoon Period, right? Everything is up. Right, everything is up. I get on with her. There's a beautiful feeling between us. We talk for hours. It's so good. I love the way he picks his nose. It's so cute, right? So that's honeymoon. It can last for like a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, a year, based on how long you see one another. And the other stage is mud. Now, mud is when all of your SHIT comes to the surface. And the things that you loved, and I know this few going like, oh, it sounds like me. The things you loved in honeymoon, like the way he picks his nose, become the most disgusting thing ever. Like, who does that? That's disgusting. But what it is that it's the unresolved elements of our past that are unresolved coming to the surface. So what happens is that we wrongly interpret that. If you have kids, you know what this is about. They trigger you. But it's not them as being triggered, it's you. So it's something which is sitting with you. So that mud stage, self-love, is the key to move into the next stage, which is called unconditional love. And there's a beautiful thing around that. So these are the 3 stages of interrelationships which I learned, and coaching couples over the years have incredible results from. I do it privately, but you just triggered that, so it just makes me smile. But coming over to you, my brother, coming back, so relationships, as we're on it. So what has been the toughest struggle for you in relationships, intimate ones, and have you overcome them, or are you working on them at the moment?
This kind of answers this question, and also what you spoke about with the mud and the last one. I don't know if anyone here has tried relational presence before. No? I get a lot of blank stares.
What it is.
Okay, relational presence is how we practice this is we start off with eye gazing. So eye gazing would be sitting across from each other, making eye contact for 5 to 10 minutes, and you're amazed what you see in the person when you can sit there and do that. Starts off a bit funny, you start laughing a little bit, and like the laughter is the mask of not wanting to go there, of not wanting to be vulnerable. You're trying to deflect. You don't want someone to really see you. So after about 5 or 10 minutes of that, when you can really drop in, relational presence, we take 5 minutes each to share whatever comes up. There's no pre-planned, there's nothing I want to say, I've planned to say, there's no agenda. It's 5 minutes, I'm sharing exactly what comes up for me. And that has helped us go from the mud to the crystal clear water, or whatever the third thing was you said, and unconditional love. That one. Unconditional love every time. And we have, as all couples go through some times when you're in heated arguments or something, can be like, babe, let's do the relational, let's do the thing tonight, the little 5-minute thing. And we sit down, by the end of that clears up so much. Yeah.
We've come into couples, but it's such a powerful, I love that. And it's so important, right, that you have that time together and you can drop the ego, right? That's what you're doing. You're dropping the ego and you're seeing each other. These speak-ups now, this is number 118 or something like that. And it's beautiful because, there's 2 things which underpin SpeakuP Monday. One thing is that people inspire people. Now that's either to do something great or run away the opposite way, right? But we're inspired. Either way, we're inspired to do it. That's one. The second one is being in Indonesia and Bali is so poignant. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which is unity in diversity. So what that means is that no matter who's here, we have our own different and unique, beautiful stories. But at our core, we come from the same place. And as you said before, we want to be acknowledged, seen, loved for who we are, fulfilled in what we're doing, right? These are things that we all share, regardless of religiosity, color, race, and so on, right? And this is what underpins SpeakuP Monday. Every episode, that's the DNA of it. So I just want to thank you, my brother, for being how do I put this, a volunteer, right, to go a bit deeper and journey into some places that maybe were a little bit uncomfortable. But the fact that you're able to go there makes me feel so much more comfortable as a man to want to come and see you, because at the end of the day, I love to go deep with somebody who's been there already and who's maybe come out the other side, but maybe we're still learning. Mastery is beautiful. It's not about perfection, it's about mastery. And I get that from you big time, which I love, right? So yeah, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for being that guy. It's really cool. And obviously the guys from YogiLab, if you're watching now, an incredible bunch of people. Love them to death. Not to death, but love them. Why do we say that? So guys, if you're thinking about Vipassana, right, don't think, just sign up. How do they do that?
Yeah, we actually run one online every month from the 11th to the 22nd, and you don't have an excuse of not having enough time because we have different schedules for Spiritual Hustler, Workplace Warrior, and the Silent Sadhu. So the Silent Sadhu sits the full 10 days, 100 hours. Your Workplace Warrior can sit 6 hours a day, 3 at morning, 3 at night. Spiritual Hustler, 2 at morning, 2 at night. So there's levels to it, but go the full 10. Like 10 days sounds like a long time, but what you can have on the other side of it, you can't put a price on. Yeah.
Thank you, my brother. And look, how we end the show is with the guest. So in about a minute or so, you'll get to close the show. So this can be something you've said already, or it might be something that drops in as like, I need to say this, I feel called to say this, or it could be something else that drops in. So I'll give you a minute or so to think about what that might be. And then after that, we'll let you speak. We'll finish the show. I'll give you a big hug, because that's what we do, boys. We hug it out. And we'll get there, right? So guys, as you know, SpeakuP Monday here at Tropical Nomad, every Monday, 6:30, always an amazing guest, men, women, we went almost everything here, actually. I was about to say women and children, but not children.
We got a dog.
I know we got a dog here tonight. That's great. We have two beautiful girls who just stumbled in, and they're still here, so they must be enjoying it. So come in and join the studio audience. 6:30. Love you still laughing. 6:30 here at Tropical Nomad. Come and join us. So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. if you're up that early, we have Clubhouse session, which is obviously audio app Clubhouse. Tomorrow I'll be interviewing Tasia, Valenza, who is an amazing Emmy award-winning actress, voiceover artist, TEDx speaker, and just an incredible human. That's tomorrow. Then on Thursday we have Robert Carrow, he is a communication expert. He works with the top Fortune 500 companies. Incredible guy. That will be on Thursday at 5:30 Bali time. And that's podcast only. So just join the SpeakuP Monday group to find out all of this information. And lastly, if you want to, this is SpeakuP Monday, right? So now we've been through maybe 118 guests speaking for a long time, interviewing for a long time. So if you want to learn, how to unlock and unleash that inner voice within you, to speak your purpose, to come forward with power and positive energy, hook me up. Just hit me up on DM. It's called Speak Up to Millions. So Speak Up to Millions. It's for people, it's for leaders, entrepreneurs, coaches, anybody who has to speak up in their lives. Come and see me. It's for people who podcast who want to learn how to tap into the collective unconscious, ask questions in a state of flow. So just come and see me then. In the meantime, I want to thank Tropical Nomad, Itchy and Bella for being here every week, making us look good, feel good, and sound good. Thank you so much. Deep love to those guys. They're amazing. So, without further ado, thank you again, my brother, for being an amazing guest. Love you, my brother. And over to you to see us out on whatever you feel is coming up for you.
I'm going to leave you guys with something tangible tonight that you can actually do. Because I feel like a lot of times when people talk, it's concepts, theories, it's pulled out of the ether, and it's like, what the fuck does that even mean? This is how I went from a construction site to speaking at high schools within a month. This is how I went from construction sites to shooting videography for high-end clients in a couple of months. And it's also how, when I came over here, I came over here to manage a party hostel in Seminyak. It was the #1 party hostel in Seminyak. I very much quickly applied this as well, and it gave me the position of being a partner when YogiLab was starting up. It's super simple, but it's called 3x3x3. And it's something I learned a long time ago, which is simple as 3 new contacts every single day. So you're reaching out to someone in your business field, someone you want to work with, someone you want to admire, and you can go anywhere from your friend that works here as well, or I was reaching out, I was DMing people, the top people on Instagram in the videography business, and I was like, yo, I've got X amount of money, I can come over there for 3 months and fend for myself, can I have a spot? That's to the range you can do. The next one is 3 follow-ups. So it's as simple as just following up with people you've already reached out to, and just seeing where they're at and chasing that thread. The next one is the most important. It's 3 pouring of love into people. Every single day, you're speaking to someone, you're messaging someone, you're telling someone that you genuinely fucking love them, and it's not from a tick the box place. It's from, when we were in year 8 at school, and we got drunk at that house party. It was such a great time. I'm missing you, bro. It can be that. That put me in a space of love, authenticity, energy, everything else. And when you can do that every single day, habits are hard, I get it. But 9 messages a day, they turn into a few more as you go on. That, within months, took me from where I was to where I wanted to go every single time.
Wow. Thank you to the studio audience. Thank you for coming. A round of applause. Thank you.